Mary Trump, Donald Trump's niece, last week said that she believes that Donald Trump's mental health is deteriorating. Well, that's kind of interesting because it looks like it looks like his brain's been rotting nonstop since 2016 and even beforehand. But okay, anyway, let's go to her statements to the Daily Beast. She said that Trump is, quote, addicted to being at the center of attention, and for him to feel the focus is shifting away from him, or that he's losing his power will make things even worse because he won't confront that and process it and deal with it, and therefore worsen his situation. More than ever, his temper, the out of control narcissism must be just unspeakably difficult for the people around him to deal with. Not that I have any compassion for any of them at this point, but yeah, it's only going to get worse from here. As for the people who are still around him, she says that basically that they're enablers. The silence, the enabling, they're continuing to admire him is so egregious and almost incomprehensible. So now it's just, here's the thing. There are two types of people that hang around Donald Trump. The true believers and the people who have hitched themselves to him because they still believe there's some sort of gain to be gained from being around him. So now the pool of the people who might have something to gain, whether it be financial or political, electoral, those people are shrinking, but there's still a decent amount of them. That said, the other people, the true believers, are basically the cult priests. They'll go down with him, likely, of course, way before Trump himself does. And he will sacrifice those people on the altar of Trump. It's just true. Now, the others, the hangers-on, understand that they'll do anything that they can to avoid going down. And a great example of that is Steve Bannon. Now, Steve Bannon, he's on trial, okay, for contempt of court. And so Bannon might be fucked. And look, he knows it. Him and people like him, their only hope is for Trump to regain power, to somehow get back into power and use that power to help them out. Now, Trump, again, there's precedent for this because he already pardoned Steve Bannon for literally stealing from his supporters. Remember the We Build the Wall project, which was a giant scam, a giant grift, where he took all this money from Trump's fans, said he was going to build a wall with it, and then stuffed it right into his pocket. He was busted on a yacht. So if that happens, I mean, since that had already happened, that he had pardoned Bannon, well, then why, from Bannon's point of view, why wouldn't he get another pardon himself? Why not? If Donald Trump assumes power again, and let's be honest, if he does, it's because he was able to destroy democracy and end rule of law. That's it. If there's no rule of law, no democracy left, then why wouldn't he use that power to help Steve Bannon and the others? The ones who stayed loyal, because again, loyalty is all that matters to Donald Trump. But getting to the point about Trump and his mental health, I'm going to be honest, I am no expert. But as I said, it just looks like his brain's melting. To me, I don't think he's ever really had a good grasp on reality to begin with. And look, you could go on and try to be like, okay, well, look, he knows, but he's just a narcissistic, pathological liar. But I tend to believe that he lies so much that he doesn't even know it's true anymore. Like, he has convinced himself that lies are the truth. And that itself seems kind of mental. And add to it, of course, that he's a narcissist, that he doesn't believe that anything is his fault, but always 100% should be credited for anything good that happens. In a way, it's kind of like a main character syndrome. He thinks he's the main character in everything. Everything good happens because of him, and everything bad happens because of people who tried to stop him or tried to harm him. But look, on the point, though, that can it get worse? Of course it can get worse. I don't see how it can get worse, but it can get worse. Always expect it to get worse. But thankfully, at the moment, he does not have any real like power, any political power. He does have, well, I should say he doesn't have power to make policy. He does have some political power in the Republican Party. And, you know, we'll see how much is left if he decides to run again in 2024. That said, at least he doesn't have the nuclear football. Thank goodness for that. But on that, Mary Trump also spoke to Tom Hartman about it. Here's what she said about the people around him. Quote, "No one would be safe from his wrath. From close confidants to the lowliest of White House aides. I think he's going to turn on everybody. I think he's, as we've seen, his circle is getting smaller and smaller by the controversy," meaning, of course, January 6th. And by the way, I'm going to point out that January 6th Commission has actually done a wonderful job in presenting the evidence. So much so that I think it's even turned some Republicans as well. Now, he's never going to turn the cultists, the cult members, but there are people that are finally getting information and saying, oh, wait, this is actually really bad. Turns out he did try to destroy democracy, and I'm not in favor of it. So, but she also added, I think there would just be very few people left standing, and certainly I could see that happening. Now, if that is the case, then yeah, it's going to hurt him more than anything else. But as long as he still has the majority of the cult around him who buy into his distorted reality, well, he's still going to be a danger to this country. Mary added later that we should expect a full court press by him and everybody in his orbit to change the subject, to muddy the waters, deflect, project, cast blame on everybody from the loneliest White House aides on up. And that's, of course, is if Trump gets indicted. He will not take it lying down, and he will engage everybody who continues to be a hanger-on to do his bidding. I mean, Donald Trump didn't do this by himself. He was enabled at every turn from people in his inner circle, everybody in the executive branch, and almost the entirety of the Republican Party. And again, I think those people, the followers, the hangers-on, the people that still have power. Remember, we have elected officials in Congress who did not vote to certify the election that are still in power. We have people that are still openly pro-Trump that have not only run for office, but are still in office to this day. That's problematic. And so, yes, those are the people who are capable of doing some pretty bad things. Again, to go back to the cultists, those are also people who are capable of violence, political violence. And so that's another huge problem. If anything, I mean, honestly, or I should say, obviously, keeping him out of power, keeping Trump from getting the nomination and becoming the next president, it should be the first priority. But we also need to make sure that we defeat his supporters in government. We need to focus on that as well, because those people are also a huge danger.